Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Damilola Mufikoya. Welcome to this Zoom session on the new digital economy, raising a generation of Zoom entrepreneurs, digitizing your business, and data the next big thing. So a few ground rules, please, as you come in, let your microphone and your video be off so that we can focus on our speakers and we can listen to them clearly. As much as possible, if you are not speaking, let your microphone be off so that we will eliminate any background noise from your end. So I trust that we understand that. Then as we go along, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat section, or perhaps when it's time for question and answer, you can raise your hand and you'll be called upon to speak. Okay? So I will introduce our guests briefly. I will read out their profile. We have 4 speakers in the house. We have Mr. Dotun Adekunle. So I will start by reading his profile to us so that we will know the speakers that we have in the house, and then we'll go ahead and just start. Sorry, I almost said praise the Lord. Okay. Is my sound good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so far. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'll start with Mr. Dotun Adekunle. Dotun Adekunle is the Director of Integration at OP and oversees local engineering team of the organization. Dotun has over 16 years experience in the software development and payment industry in Nigeria. He has led and participated in several national scale projects ranging from tax systems for FIRS and JTB, CCI, automation for the Central Bank of Nigeria, and several social programs, payment, automation implementation for the presidency. He started his career as a software developer with Telnet Nigeria Limited and rose to become the head of special project unit. Later, he was drafted as a pioneer technical lead for Paycom Nigeria Limited, a subsidiary of the company in 2011. Dotun finished from Yaba College of Technology in 2006, majoring in computer science, and later pursued an MBA with the University of Roehampton in 2015. He has a postgraduate in artificial intelligence and machine learning from the University of Texas at Austin. He's a certified enterprise architect and lives in Lagos with his wife and 2 kids. Dr. Adekunle, you are welcome, sir, to this program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The next person I'm going to read his profile is Mr. Idowu Akinde. Idowu helps technology teams build better products, serving clients on 3 continents, where he's often fondly referred to as coach. Idowu has a special passion for coaching and lead tech teams, and has led various teams building multi-million-dollar tech products to success over the course of nearly 2 decades. His experience spans both enterprise and startups and cuts across financial services, banking, insurance, fintech, telecoms, aviation, oil and gas, agriculture, consulting, professional services, and education. You are welcome, Mr. Idowu Akinde.
Hi,
the next guest is Peter Ayemere Esangbedo. Peter Esangbedo is an information technology professional offering over 14 years experience in various IT capacities, including enterprise sales, Azure cloud solution, IT infrastructure, system administration, and IT project management spanning the financial services, IT services, and IT consulting sphere. He studied electronics engineering, majoring in telecommunications, and has a focus of optimizing business outcomes with information technology. Peter has a flair for helping businesses grow by leveraging on technology. He currently works with one of the leading IT support and consulting companies in Nigeria. You are welcome, Mr. Peter Ayemere Esangbedo. Last
Thank
but
you
not
very
the
much,
least
sir.
is Mr. Tunde Shogaolu. Anthony Babatunde Shogaolu, aka Shoga or Shogalistic, by his close friend and family, was born into a family of 7 lovely kids. He started his primary education at Our Lady of Apostles Private School, after which he proceeded to St. Gregory's College, Ikoyi, and upon completion of his secondary school, he gained admission to the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Shoga is a guy of several interesting hustle journeys. He currently works within the cyber security space with a financial services organization, as well as being involved in several hustle gigs, training, investment, and farming. He is vast in managing small businesses from the bottom up. Shoga is happily married to Oluwatoyin, formerly Miss Shoyebo, and they are blessed with a wonder boy, Joshua. Mr. Babatunde Shogaolu, you are welcome, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much. It's
So
nice to be here tonight. Thank you.
Gentlemen, you are welcome. Our viewers and our audience, you are also welcome. So for starters, let me just explain to us that this meeting is not a tech meeting, as it were. So don't be afraid that you will just be hearing technology terms. This is essentially for entrepreneurs, small businesses, SMEs, startups that have nothing to do with IT. So our panelists are going to be breaking down what you need to know, breaking it down to the nitty-gritty. So don't be afraid if there's a problem or maybe you may not understand something. No. It's not going to be a tech stuff. They are going to break it down to the basics and you'll be able to understand everything. Is that clear? Okay, gentlemen, let's jump right in. Please, can you introduce yourself, gentlemen? Tell us a little about yourself, and we'll go on. I'll start with you, Dotun. Tell us a little about yourself. I know I've read something about you, but just tell us a little about yourself so that our viewers and our audience will have a feel of who you are.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you once again for joining. I already see a few faces that I recognize, or a few names that I recognize. Thank you for joining. Like Murphy has said, that I lead the engineering team for OPE Nigeria, basically we write software, support that software, make sure that there's availability of the service to the general public. I also do a lot of interfacing with businesses and partners that need to interface in one way or the other with our applications. So that's basically what I do. In terms of the SME business focus and looking at opportunities at this time, of course, I'll come from that payments perspective because that has always been my passion and the area that I've been focused on. And OP, of course, that I work for presently, is also heavily into payments. So I'll look at ways in which we can help businesses move ahead, especially in this kind of times. So let's keep it at that for now until other questions come on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dotun. Idowu, can you tell us a little about yourself for the purpose of our viewers and our audience?
All right. Thank you, Damilola. Thank you, everyone, for joining or participating. I'd like to introduce myself as a rehabilitated coffee junkie. So a few years ago, I used to be that guy that will stubbornly not give up a programming assignment until he gets it done. But I guess with a little bit of experience and exposure to other parts of businesses, technology businesses, lately I am I seem to be more useful to people managing and leading teams of who I used to be, people who now write computer programs. I guess they say that perhaps I have some understanding of how their brains work. So that's me. I'm especially passionate about startups, AKA SMEs. And so it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Idowu. We are glad to have you here. Tunde Shogaolu, can you please unmute and tell us a little about yourself for the sake of our viewers?
All right. Good evening, everyone, again. I think for me, it's an honor to actually be in a gathering like this. And so it's not something I take lightly and take for granted. So Dami, thank you very much. So background, I've done quite a number of few things. So I have vast business experience. By luck, I stumbled into IT as a youth corper. So I got I'm sure everybody knows Aptech and I can't remember the other phrase now for that organization back then. I got a scholarship. I did networking. That was back in Kano, because I was serving in Gombe. So I used to go from Gombe to Kano at weekends, and that was how that went until, I did other things. So for me, I come from a background of having done a number of things, tried and tested, failed in some, succeeded in some, until I've eventually sat within cybersecurity, which is what I've been doing for over 7 years now, being in the UK. So I will come from, I work within financial services, primarily ensuring that the security of whatever product we're pushing out is actually safe. That is, there's confidentiality, there's integrity and availability. But I will be saying a lot around how you can leverage security in the products that you are pushing out. So if you kind of hear a lot around that, just know that that's part of being what I do at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tunde. I'm glad to have you here. Peter Ayemere Esangbedo, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Dami. Thank you, everyone, for also joining. Basically, what can I basically say? Well, I've been into IT right from finishing school, and I've also been working with the last 5-6 years of my work life has been working with customers, interfacing with customers, from the enterprise customers to the small and medium customers, discussing with them about solutions that would actually, make them increase their revenue and work better. My background also has majorly been on infrastructure, then also cloud services. So that's just basically it. Working, interface with customers basically every day. Last 5 years of my work life, and it's about business and how to use IT to run their business. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with you again, Peter. Do you
think
the first question, do you think the knowledge of IT has penetrated well into Nigeria business environment? Can you give us percentages if you think so?
That's not an easy question. And based on statistics coming from different perspectives, I don't think IT has actually penetrated that in Nigeria, in this country in particular. I don't think it has penetrated as much as it could or as much as it should. If I was to give a rough estimate, I would say, I may be wrong, I would say 20 to 40%. But basically, I don't think it's really penetrated as it should by now. It's growing. The figure is growing, but it's not necessarily exponential. That's what I think. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tunde, what do you say? Do you think knowledge of IT has penetrated well in Nigerian business environment? What percentage do you think? And what's your reason?
Okay. So it's neither here nor there, so you can't really fix a certain percentage to it. And that is based on the fact that in terms of infrastructure, a lot still needs to be done. Yes, for good example, typically, you have lots of businesses, lots of organizations running on IT. And kind of, so the big players are doing a lot for themselves based on the fact that they have the huge capital to support their IT infrastructure. But for the smaller organizations, which we try to look at, it's still a bit of a snail crawl, but there are a number of platforms that is coming into that market to support the IT infrastructure that the small businesses can actually leverage on. So, for example, Aimere says, he does a lot with cloud infrastructure. It's still expensive. So when you're looking at it from a cost side, that's where the major challenge is. Hopefully, maybe in a couple of 3-4 years now, based on if the cost begins to scale, down a bit, I think a lot of people will have a lot more penetration. But at the moment, is a question. It's an answer that is neither here nor there. Depending on the size of the business.
Okay, thank you. Idowu, what's your take on that?
All right, thank you. I think that's an interesting question because I think that the phrase IT is kind of broad, quite encompassing. If I were to rename that, information technology, if I were to rename IT and say, and rearticulate the question as, do I think the knowledge of, or do I think many Nigerian businesses have taken advantage of digitization, for instance, or business automation, for instance, then I would have a frame of reference to give a percentage. And I think that just like I would lean towards Peter's estimate and say, yes, a few people have done a few things. We've seen a few automation efforts. We've seen a few digitization efforts in some public sector. Many of the private sector businesses have started something. But just on a rough estimate, I would say it's definitely not more than a 40%. There's much, 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 much more that we can do. From our health sector and the cues that we see to our everyday lives, to the way we make payments, even though there's been, one should be careful to recognize that there's been a lot of advancements in these things nowadays. There's plenty of recognition that our local payment system in Nigeria is much more advanced than many of the so-called global leaders, global leading countries. However, there's still much, much more that can be done in terms of, if you think of it as business process automation or digitization. Thank you.
Okay. Dotun, your take.
I think that generally, if you look at Nigeria, I think we're even way below 40%. I think I'll lean more to 10 to 20% if you look at business automation. When you look at the SME space, I think it's even lower. Where you have companies that do a lot of things around automation is where you have established enterprise companies, the likes of the oil companies and the big IT companies and maybe banks and things like that. Well, when you go outside of that space and you come into small businesses, you find that many people are not yet automating their processes. Even to look at emails, to check emails alone, you find that a lot of people just don't do it. Yes, they have websites and email addresses, but it's not a way of life yet for a whole lot of businesses. And those are frontiers that we need to break, right? If you also now look at it from the mobile perspective, because a country like Nigeria, if we're going to break into digitization and things like that, I don't see people having laptops and desktops and many companies having that. I don't think that will happen. But I think mobile is the way that Nigeria will go. A lot of people will have access to mobile phones eventually. I think Nigeria has about 170 million mobile subscribers today. Well, not individual subscribers because people have multiple phone lines at the same time. But even at that, with that percentage, you find out only 20% have smartphones. And for you to really have some kind of automation, you need smartphone technology at the minimum. So there's still a lot of work to do, but it's growing. I think it's growing with social media. Social media has helped to educate Nigerians about IT in general. They are in learning how to text, in learning how to put stuff on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They're learning other things that how IT can power their businesses. And so it's a new revolution. I really think that in the next 4 to 5 years, we'll be in a different place altogether. And it's been mobile driven. That's my take on this.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to, from what you have answered, I want to take it to another angle. In terms of percentages, what is the internet penetration, percentage of internet penetration in Nigeria? Just give me percentages, internet penetration. Dotun, starting with you. How many Nigerians have access to the internet? We are 300 million. What percentage?
Yeah, I would think that we should be nearing around 20 to 30% of Nigerians that have access to the internet. From the stats that we have, for instance, when we in our mobile payment business, we see that a whole lot of people still in the cities are still the people that access financial services. People that use USSD are still guys that have normal access to internet services. So we see that as you go forward to the interland, 4G is not everywhere. 3G is not even everywhere in Nigeria. So the ability for people outside of major cities or major townships to access the internet is quite limited. But not Nigeria being Nigeria, most people do work or try to get to work in the major cities. So internet penetration is still a challenge. I think it's for the telcos to pursue how to make the service really, really available. When we go to places in like the border towns of Oyo State, bordering with Benin Republic, and we have people using POS there, it becomes a challenge. And that's why a company like, I don't want to mention names, but a popular company had to invent or innovate with having USSD on POS terminals, for instance. They had to use technology because internet penetration in those border towns, these are large towns that do large volumes of transactions, and yet internet services is super unstable in some big towns in Nigeria. So penetration is still a bit limited.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Idowu, what do you think? Internet penetration, percentages?
All right, so I remember seeing, as part of a discussion recently, I remember seeing I remember seeing some stats from, I think it was Statista, that as at 2019, the internet penetration rate was between 45 to 46%. But the danger with taking that kind of figure is that it's an aggregate, but I like Dotun's breakdown of, where he has essentially separated the difference between the quality of internet experience in the cities like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and like he said, the hinterland and border towns. So that is effective percentage, I would say maybe 25%, even though the official number from that website says 46%. Thank you.
But Idowu, before you go, I have relations in the village that are on Facebook. They are always sending me friend requests on Facebook. I have people in the interland that say they saw my picture on Facebook and all that. I mean, we can't really rule out that internet penetration is not in the interlands.
Okay. So that's again that's I don't want to say that I want to take that with a pinch of salt, but again, the investigative part of my mind wants to ask how is their internet experience? So they're able to visit Facebook. How do they get to Facebook? Is it do they wait for 4 to 5 p.m. every day because that is when internet is good? Or do they wait for 3 to 6 a.m. every day because that's when they know that they will get internet in their area? Or is it an all-round 24-hour consistent quality of experience. So that is how I would rather interpret that. Yes, my people in the villages can see what I do. So that's that. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Tunde, internet penetration, what percentage can you give?
I mean, it's really a tough one because I don't want to give inaccurate statistics, and the reason is because you still have a number of companies. I mean, the big players. So if you look at the telcos now, Airtel, and Glo, every time they are still doing broadband penetration, they're still trying to on 4G now, and it's not everywhere that has that one. I would sort of be on the safe side of leaning towards what Dotun and Idowu have said, which is on a rough estimate between 25 to 30%, and let's see, maybe hopefully in the near future, we would have a lot more penetration as infrastructure begins to expand, as a lot of investment also starts coming in, because the Nigerian terrain, everybody on this call would agree that it's very tough. You need a lot of skill, to actually meander yourself, and that's for big companies. They've tried several things. You have a lot of companies that have tried, and of course they didn't fail. I mean, they failed, reorganized their business again, restructured. All of that has happened. So this experience is still a learning curve. So let's hope that in another 3-4 years, as technology begins to get scaled, when this technology is actually available in the country, we would have a lot more higher pool of numbers.
Okay, thank you very much. Peter, what about you? Internet penetration percentages?
Okay, so I like what my fellow gentlemen have said, but actually from what, well, I tried to check certain statistics online with certain companies and all that. And, there's this particular site that gave a graph from 2015 to 2020, then 2020 to 2025. Now it says in 2015, we had about over 42 million people on the internet, Nigerians. And in 2020, we actually have about 96.5 million. Now, the truth is that, yes, we know there are people in remote areas, but the telcos have been fighting for this internet penetration. And if you also check, they've been fighting amongst themselves to actually reduce the cost of being on the internet. So it's difficult. You know how data is in Nigeria. So it's the basic thing I can say is that, number one, more people are going to be on the internet. The number is going to be basically on the rise. We can actually get better statistics from the telcos. Although, as Dotun rightly said, if you have 170 million people on the grid, on the network, the telecommunications network, you find out that some have double, some have 4 SIMs, some have four lines. So let's just say maybe 50% of that is already about 50% of 170 million is about maybe, let's say 70 million or 80 million people. So I'm thinking between that range, but I know that we have our grandmothers in the village that can at least afford some level of 100 naira internet connectivity. Although I know it's different from USSD, Dotun has more light on that in terms of USSD connections, transactions rather. But let's say between at least from 2015, some sites say from 2015 we had 42 million, for it 2.5 million, and as at 2020 we have about 96 million Nigerians on the internet. So it's quite tough to really give an exact value. We can only estimate.
Okay, good. Yeah. Peter, I'll start with this next question with you. How can a small business go digital? Can you give practical steps, practical tips? Because I know there are some business people listening to us, SMEs listening to us, some people that are caterers, tailors, auto dealers. How can small businesses go digital?
Okay, so basically, first of all, we need to understand the nature of the person's business. What sort of business are you running? That's number one. So off the top of my head, right now, when we talk about going digital, right, we are talking about, okay, how do I basically convert things that I've been doing manually? How can I basically kind of automate them? How do I make things that I would have been doing that would have taken me a longer time? How do I make it easier to do? How do I cut down that repetitive actions? Also, we're talking about, okay, things that we're doing manually, how do we automate them? How do we do them automatically? Things that we're also doing physically, how do we make them virtual?
Okay,
How do we put them online?
Peter, sorry. Let's take a case study. For the sake of this discussion, let's
Okay.
take a case study of an Asun seller, someone that makes small chops, Asun barbecue. Let's use that business as a case study. They want to go digital.
Okay, so one of the very first simple steps is to have a social media platform. Go on social media. That's one very quick and fast way to go on social media. Social media platforms, I don't start mentioning names because this is not a sales or marketing. We're not selling for anybody per se. But what I've noticed now is that it's so much easier. Social media platforms have made it so much easier to actually put your business online. So there's many platforms that you can actually, the popular ones, we know them, that you can actually put your business there and start, number one, start selling. I don't want to mention names, but you can start selling. Number two, those platforms also give you the ability to market your products, to advertise. So if your business right now is not actually online, then there's a challenge, because almost everyone, especially during the stay-at-home period, most people were selling online. So number one, get on a social media platform. Number two, you can take advantage of the advertising and marketing options of those platforms and pay it as you can pay as little as $5 per week, $5 per day, or $5 per week for you to actually advertise. Then those platforms also give you the ability, like what Dotun is also into, and those platforms give you the ability to actually make payments, receive payments, and make payments. Okay, so I would say practically one of the first things is to get online. You have to be on the internet. You have to have a device. You have to have a mobile device that can get you online. Okay, now when you get online, you can now take advantage of those platforms, those social media platforms, to sell. Some people also tell you that you should actually get a website. Websites are now as cheap as 15,000 to 10,000 to actually build a website, right? You just need to start with what you need, not anything that has the bells and whistles. Okay, so you can decide to have a website, but there's that argument between having a website or a mobile platform. Can mobile platforms, social media platforms actually take over what you can do on a website? You actually can, okay? In terms of payments, in terms of advertising. Now, those social media platforms give you the opportunity to advertise your Asun, advertise your bread, advertise whatever it is you have. They also give you the option of talking to other customers. So I just want to put it at that, so I don't take too much time. But you need to get online. You need to have a phone. Your phone is your office basically nowadays. Your mobile phone. You need internet. Then you can get on a social media platform. Then you can now start paying. It's very competitive now. The prices are very cheap to even start advertising and getting customers to your mobile shop or your online shop.
Okay.
So those are some basic things that you can start with. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Idowu, I saw your hand. Should I take you next?
Okay. Actually, okay. So before I comment on this particular question, I mean, I have a few thoughts on it. I wanted to add something to the previous discussion about internet penetration across the land. I remember that I was in another discussion where we discussed the same thing, and I think the key thing is that there was a presentation done by the MD of Main One, Mrs. The popular Mrs. Funke Okweke, about the unique dynamics of internet availability and end user internet access and experience in Nigeria. So it's important to note that there are quite a number. There's more than one. At least I think that there's more than 3 fiber endpoints that enter the country right now. So the supply side of internet into Nigeria, technically to a large extent, has been solved. The supply question has been solved. However, the demand question, which is the experience that you and I have through our modems and our mobile phones and our laptops, has not yet matched the experience that should be commensurate to the quantity of the volume of data that comes into the country if you aggregate all of those guys, because there is a gap in infrastructure financing to close. I think they call it, the people in that space call it last mile network infrastructure financing. I remember that point when Peter was talking, and I thought that was why I raised my hand at that time. So that's that. On the question at hand, so if I want to answer the question of how to advise a typical ASUN seller to go digital, first of all, hats off to Mr. Ope for the O-Food initiative. I remember when O-Food was hot this time last year, O-Food was hot because all of a sudden, the mama sikira that you typically had to send your office assistant to help you get food from for lunch, suddenly they were on O-Food. You could go to the O-Food website, place an order, and someone would come deliver to your office from Mama Kudus and Mama Sikira that were selling amala, suya, and so on and so forth. So those people that were not typically captured by the Jumia Foods, the previous generation of slightly middle of the pyramid and up and top of the pyramid segments, suddenly had access to some kind of commerce, which is just one section of business automation. So back to my breakdown. If you want to advise someone to go digital, essentially, what are you asking? What are you saying? What is business? Business, first of all, there's production in business. How do you produce the goods that you serve? Can you digitize that? That's one sector. There is some kind of awareness creation, marketing, advertising of what you have created, right? Software, whether it's banana, whether it's furniture, whether it's suya or asun, you need to tell people about it. Sometimes the way to tell people is to place your table outside your gate or close to your gate where eyeballs can see it. Sometimes the way to sell it is to do that. So that's the second one. The third is, how do you get paid? So I think that if we think about it in terms of these components, you take the production. Is there something that can be digitized about the production of ASUN? None comes to my mind right now. So let's leave that. Can we digitize the process of awareness of ASUN? Oh my God, I think that COVID-19 and the forced remoteness of our interactions as human beings has given a beautiful opportunity to the average ASUN seller to be able to take beautiful pictures, especially if you have the talent or you have a family member or you have someone that can subsidize that cost for you. Take beautiful pictures of your ASUN and blast it on all of your social media and all of digital platforms. I think that in fact is the easiest component that I just described to digitize. The third part is, how do you get paid and how do you report your payments? How do you manage your business? So that is where I would refer to what the OPA guys, Dotun's team did last year with O-Food. And I think there are some other new initiatives that are coming up, with the new payments integration platforms. So that's my thought around that space. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Tunde, we want to solve a problem for the ASUN seller, ASUN and small jobs guy. How can you come in?
Fantastic. I think our two speakers, Peter and Dotun, they've already broken this down. The reality is, if you're not on social media, typically you're missing, you're out. And why would I say that? If you look at even someone that does makeup, for example, people like or people feel more what they see. I'm sure we've seen how some of these gigs or skits that we see, you see a fine girl with maybe some, apologies for using that word, maybe tribal marks and all of that. But by the time the makeup comes on, that person that you're seeing becomes a different person. And you begin to wonder how. But that's what social media has done. So all typical platforms, even if you're engaging on social media today, You know, maybe you're using Twitter, you know, saying maybe a political conversation or a sports conversation. And, you know, the next thing that pops up, someone sends you, oh, help my hustle. You know, someone puts that in that particular trail of conversation. Guess what? You are bound to look at it, you know. So anyone doing, even your WhatsApp, for example, on your mobile device, it has a business account as well. You know, when you send a message to maybe your friend or someone, the person is using a business account. You know, so all of these tools has changed the way business is currently being done. Sorry, can you hear me, Dami?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. So all of this has actually is a massive game changer. So social media is actually a massive game changer for any small business. You know, just get onto the platform. It's easy to come in. It's easy to exit as well. So your barrier to entry and exit is not that price, so to speak, is not a big barrier. You know, you have a free entry, free exit, free account. You know, so a lot of things you can actually use using those social media platforms. Thank you.
Okay, Dotun, we want to solve the Asun guy's problem and the small job guy.
I fully agree with what all the previous speakers have said on this, right? Like what Idowu said, right? That there are 5 elements of the business. First, you start from product design and production. Well, how do I know what to produce? What product does the market want? I have to do some market research. Right now, with experimenting and putting things out there on social media and things like that, you can get to start knowing from the pulse of the market. I mean, before it was difficult to know the pulse of the market, but you can use statistics now to find out what is the pulse of the market. What do people want? Do people want Asun with Dodo? We don't assume with small chops. So what do they want? So you can begin to feel the pulse of the market and use that to actually design what you want. That's on the first, on the level of product design and production. Secondly, in the production itself, sourcing of your materials. How do I get what I need to get to? You don't need to today go. I don't need to go to Okeari to go and buy stuff, or I don't need to go to my outsource to go and source for pepper or whatever it is I'm going to need. With my mobile device, I can look through online, get the best prices of whatever products that I need to buy and get it delivered to me. So it's helping me in my production. Secondly, I need to do marketing. So sales, of course, WhatsApp, Instagram becomes very powerful tools for the person who's a small business. The same way the big companies have email and have enterprise application and have SAP and ERP and custom and CRMs. You don't need to have all those big infrastructure. With my mobile device, with social media, and then I can subscribe to any software as a service platform to do my marketing. I can push my content on Twitter, on whatever, Instagram and WhatsApp. I think those 3 platforms alone, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, have changed the business landscape forever. And the fact that internet is available on mobile devices just empowers that. 3 is that I have to do sales. I can actually close the sales. I can go online and see people. I can check people on my phone and say, and market them. Oh, there is this product. I think that this person needs this particular product. I can actually market the person. I used to tell my wife then when she was starting our own small business that, look, the internet is the new highway. In those days, when you want to do business, you are looking for, especially if it's a retail business, location is king, right? So you need to get the most appropriate location. I need to get on Allen Avenue, or I need to get on Adelabu, or I need to get on a street that is premium. The internet is a new highway. I need to know how to get my word out on the best platforms possible, because that's the new highway. I don't need to have a big business and pay for expensive shops anywhere. All I need is produce somewhere and then just use the internet to push my content. So even the sales, closing that sales, I can have chat groups online, I can do different stuff, I can email, I can do telesales. This is company secret, right? Most of the agents, the agent network for OPay, for instance, is 300,000 strong. The only way we grew that number in 2 years, there was no way to physically go and build 300,000 agents, but people sat down on Facebook, sat down on Instagram, reached out to people that had interest in agents or know anything about being a mobile money agent, and then we flooded them with calls, with Facebook direct DM messages and things like that. That's the way you build. That's the way you build, right? So today you can sit down on Facebook, sit down on Instagram, and search for things, people that may be interested in your product, and begin to talk to them. Even recruitment today, you do it with LinkedIn. I sit down on LinkedIn, and when I want to recruit, I sit down on LinkedIn and I go through profiles for hours until I get the candidates I'm interested in, and I begin to contact them. So it's e-recruiting. Nobody has to physically go there. So from production, product design and production, marketing, sales, even the fulfillment, like something that Idowu had mentioned and the others, even the fulfillment, I can subscribe to a bike service, a delivery service, without leaving my office, that will come pick up the goods that I've come up with and deliver it to the customer. So the fulfillment and the payment as well is done online. I don't have to physically collect cash, just deposit money in my account, transfer to my account number, transfer to my wallet, and I have the money. So everything happens remotely without any physical presence. And you receive the goods, we know that it's received, and things like that. So it's a whole new world, and we all need to embrace this new technology and move ahead. So just to round up, right? The combination of social media, software as a service, and mobile technology, those three things, social media, software as a service, and mobile technology, has changed the game, Today, for instance, my wife's small business, only about 20, employs about 20 people, right? The whole accounting bit on finance and accounting and reconciliation is done online. We didn't have to buy any software. We subscribe to a service that they pay, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15,000 every month. And that does all the management of all income and expenditure, whatever you are buying, selling, blah, blah. So you can keep proper accounting. Now you can easily approach the banks for a loan because you have proper accounting. And you don't have to have super expertise to do that. There's a service available. I don't have to go and buy an expensive ERP or whatever it is that the big companies buy. So it's a new day, and we need to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dotun. I'll take this next question from you. E-commerce is gaining ground in Nigeria. What does a business need to employ e-commerce?
I think that m-commerce, more than e-commerce, is probably the way to go for small businesses. Yes, for the larger corporations and the big, how will I call them, aggregators, Jumia, Konga, and all that, a whole lot of e-commerce. But I find that the aggregating businesses can do a whole lot more, right? The likes of Jumia and Konga, like I mentioned, and generates traffic to their sites. But people are not going to go to every site for every company for e-commerce. It's just too much info. You can, of course, you can list your products on your website, which I think everyone should still do. You should still have a website if you can, if you want to. But I think that the most important thing is that take advantage of those social media platforms and do more mobile commerce. Mobile is stronger than regular e-commerce. That's where the future is. The future is mobile. The new generation, the younger generation that everybody is trying to sell to, are not going to do so much of laptops. I said those who are programmers or whoever. They'll do a whole lot of stuff on their mobile devices. And so it's important that you focus on mobile commerce. A lot of people are making money putting their stuff on Instagram today and doing NIP transfers, and they're consummating business. So that's the way to go.
Mobile.
Also from starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get your point. Mobile is more important than just e-commerce. Mobile takes care of everything.
Yeah. Okay. Just to say this, with e-commerce penetration in Nigeria, despite the hype surrounding the big e-commerce players, Konga, Jumia, blah blah blah, that it has not really been as profitable as everybody thinks. There's a lot of hype. They're in it for the long haul, and I appreciate and I value their patience and their confidence to keep on pursuing it. About some 2 years ago, I can just share this. About 2 years ago, one of the big players had engaged me to join the team. And my questions were, how many people do you have on your platform today? And this was 2017 thereabout. And when they gave me the figure, it was less than 100K. And my question was, you cannot break even. You can't succeed with 100K. How will 100K existing users help you to make a profit? There's no way. The margins are extremely small on those aggregated platforms. There's no way that is going to turn you around. And a few months later, I eventually found out, right? So I don't think that e-commerce has reached the place where it should reach in Nigeria. Nigerians don't buy online and pay online as much as they should yet. They will get there, but they don't do that as much yet. They would rather go to the shop, right, and take picture and then buy what they want to buy than order it online. A few percentage of people, a category of people already are doing that, but not everybody yet. I think it will continue to grow, but mobile commerce is the way. Thank you.
Okay. Idowu, what's your take?
All right, so I mean, I don't have much to add to that, but I'll just say that in terms of what does a business need to employ e-commerce, really it's just a trying to use big words. It's just to think through, like we said earlier, all the processes that you typically go through currently manually in your business, and think of what you need to digitize those things. So like we said, for the production side, Dotun did a better job breaking down the production side. So there's tools to do research, there's tools, depending on the kind of business and the kind of product that you're selling, you may even be able to find tools that help you automate the particular product, or digitize or automate the particular production process. For the sales and marketing, we've trashed that. You should be able to employ either the social media platforms or the big aggregators, the Juniors, the Kongas, the Udalas, and so on and so forth, to give your product greater visibility, regardless of distance. And then for fulfillment, close to that service delivery. For fulfillment, things like logistics and delivery, you can sign up to any of the millions of logistics companies that are available nowadays, especially in this COVID-19 period and following the recent ban on motorcycles in Lagos. So what that has done is all of these components of running a business have been pretty much digitized. The last part is payments, finance, which can also be taken care of with, again, okay, so while Dotun was talking earlier, I remember that there was some news, I think it was late last year or early this year, about WhatsApp accepting payments within the app. So I remember they did some kind of pilot deployment in India. If they are doing a pilot deployment in India, you can be sure that Africa is coming up. Africa is on their roadmap. So you can be sure that the way you are able to display your wares on your WhatsApp status and your Instagram stories today, very soon you'll be able to prompt people to pay when they see that thing. So you can, essentially, what are they trying to do? They're trying to help you digitize and automate all of those things that you currently do. While waiting for Mr. WhatsApp or the one I just mentioned to arrive in a place like Africa or Nigeria, there are other options available. People like Paystack have given us the ability to just go to their website, subscribe to their service, and generate a link. Send anybody around the world that link, and you can receive money into your account. Confirm the money has been paid, and you can call a delivery company to help you deliver to the person's address, and you're good. So that's how I'm thinking about the particular question. Thank you.
Thank you. Tunde, what's your take on that?
Well, I think it's been a very good conversation on that with what Dr. and Idowu have said. It goes without saying. M money is actually, M commerce. Just to use the same phrase from the two speakers, that's very key. Everything is done on your mobile phone at the moment. Think about it. There's nothing you want to do that you cannot get it done on a mobile phone. The Generation Z, so to speak, which I think our own generation, when I mean my own generation, I mean myself and Dami, people coming behind now, if you look, scale 10 years down, that's the Generation Z, people that are coming into that generation. Trust me, they are the ones on Twitter, they are the ones on Instagram, they're the ones on, they are very active, they play in that market. I have my 24, 25-year-old cousin. I remember, she asked me, "Oh, uncle, I need a logistics company," and I said, "Okay, that's fine. I have a friend. This is their website. Go onto their website. However, contact him directly. Sent her all the things she needed to do via my mobile phone. And guess what? She was able to get all the things she wanted to, all because she needs ease of faster delivery. So the way business is driving, everybody wants ease and fast and prompt delivery. And the only place or the only platform you will get that is via social media, and the presence, the growth is going on a daily basis. So the guy is doing catering, the guy is doing asun, it's very easy for your business to have that reach that you need. Then when you now add the extra layer, which the likes of the OPA guys are, coming into it for, then you have a wonderful business model to leverage on. Thank you.
Okay, Peter, let's have your take.
Okay, basically, I'm in line with all what everyone has said, from Dotun to Idowu to to Tunde. Basically, if you're a small business startup, right, do your mobile commerce. Do your mobile commerce. Start with that. Things are getting smaller. Things are shrinking. Okay, things are shrinking. Things are getting faster. Everything is now becoming digital. Okay, so start with that. And I think there's also in information technology, sales and marketing, there are always buzzwords. There are, at times we are saying the same thing but in a different way. So whether it's e-commerce, electronic commerce, whether it's m-commerce, mobile commerce, there's commerce inside it, and that commerce has to do with revenue, sales, marketing. So start with your phone. If you're a small business, you are selling a song on the streets, start with your mobile phone. And of course, you need to also integrate with it. You are taking a secured platform when it comes to payments, the aspect of fulfillment, like Idowu rightly mentioned, the aspect of even advertising. You need a secure platform, and be ready to make that little first-time investment as a small or medium-sized business. A lot of people want to say, okay, look, I'm starting with my mobile phone, I'm running an e-commerce platform, but there's some little investment that you must make, okay, to run that business, in terms of securing your payment platform, in terms of running your adverts. Okay, so I'm in line totally with what our gentlemen have said.
Okay, Peter, let me take you on the next question. Does social media accounts negate the need for a proper business website?
So to some extent, I will say yes. To some extent, it all depends. There are so many people that are running their businesses and making some turnover without having an official website. Okay, and the argument is neither here nor there. Sorry?
So I said, why would any business guy, why would the Asun guy eventually need a website? He's making money from social media. He doesn't really need a website, as it were. What's the future of website designers?
So the future of website designers is actually getting thinner and thinner, because right now there are a lot of, back in the days, in 5, 6, 7 years ago, to design a website costs about 150K at the minimum. Right now, you can design a website for free, almost next to nothing. Right now you can get a website up and running in minutes. 10K, 15K, you can have a website design. However, if you're talking about small businesses, you need to know, okay, what nature of business are they actually running? There are lots of people that do not have, they are actually generating revenue. They don't have an official website. If the Asun guy starts to grow, when he starts to grow, he might decide to have an official website, or he can stick with his social media handles, his maybe Instagram page or whatever. So the truth is that things are shifting. It's so much easier now to get someone to design a website for close to, it's so much more affordable now, so much cheaper. And there are companies that are even offering the design of these websites for free or next to nothing. So the bottom line now is that to some extent, as a small business owner, as a startup, you don't necessarily have to start with a website, in my own opinion, based on what the social media platforms are offering. Okay, but when you talk about the medium-sized businesses and the enterprise size businesses, then you now talk about, okay, yes, you might need to have an official website, because to some extent, you are bidding for this government projects and blah 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 in quotes. People want to see these things. Some people even want you to actually be certified on those things. Now, let me also add one more thing before I just hand over to others. There are some sites for educators. Okay, there are some OEMs. When I say OEMs, I mean the likes of Microsoft, the likes of Lenovo, the likes of Google, IBM. Now, some of them, for you to actually sign up as an educationist or an educator, or you own a school, for them to actually give you a business account, right, to enjoy some of their services for online teaching and all that, you need a registered domain name. Okay, you need a registered a website, so to say. So in that case, I would say yes. Okay, but for the one-man business, Asun seller on the road, you don't necessarily, in my own opinion, to be blunt and all that, you don't necessarily need to start off an official website. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Tunde, what's your opinion? Do you really need a website?
Primarily, the nature of your business determines whether it's a need or a want. Now, if it's a need based on the nature of your business, then you can. But if your nature of business does not specifically require it, then why throw that money into something else that you can use and leverage and get more business out of it? So, good example. So I do training, for example. I train people and all of that. For that kind of business, I require a website. Now, and the reason is because there's a lot of information that is required. For example, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So typically, if I put a customer service rep and all of that, the person may not be able to take all the information required within that space of time. Remember, people's attention span is very little, So that kind of business would have to require a website. But my typical Niger business, that maybe someone posted a question asking that, what are people in the agri business? Now, there are certain components of that business that may require a website. And good example, we have a website for the farm, for example. We have a website, but it's just there. We update from time to time. It's just a presence to make us people are aware of our products and services. But that typically, what do I do? I design my flyer. Once I design my flyer, I put it on our Instagram page. I put it on Twitter. I put it on Facebook. I'm pushing it out on WhatsApp. I put it on my status. All the guys that follow me, I send it to my social media influencers. That's another thing that has come in and has changed the game as well. So people, I know that, this person has 20,000 followers. 30,000 followers. Okay, can you help me hype my product? You know, so all of that comes in. Now, for me, as a small business in that realm of business, you know, that is what I need. I don't have to waste my money, you know, to try and throw money away into what I know that I may not need in the now. I would focus on what I need in the now, which social media has presented me with that opportunity, you know, to push my products and services. So for the small business, you don't really need to play it out. People that even sell Ankara, for example, let me give you an example. The market women, you know, people that sell material, lace material, Ankara material, do they really require a website, for example? Their nature of their business does not really require it. So what do? People want to buy, once they see it on their phone, they like I show you, you know, things like that. They start making inquiries. So that's, for them, that is another angle. That's another twist. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Idowu, quickly, what's your take on that? Social media handle or website? Do I need which one is important for me?
Okay, so Tunde took all the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, depending on the type of your business, if you are selling some kind of service that is, you know, middle of the, in terms of the income distribution pyramid, middle of the pyramid upwards, like a training company, like a consultancy company. There's some comments in the chat box about someone about how to digitize an accounting / a law firm. So, you know, those types of firms are professional services firms. You do need some type of online presence. It grants greater credibility to your entity, okay? However, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, like I always say, those old food guys, the suya guys, Mama Sikra, Mama Basira, I cannot say readily that will add more value than what the aggregation platforms, again, Facebook statuses, Facebook stories, WhatsApp stories, Instagram, and so on and so forth. What we've seen recently is that the kinds of traffic and exposure and visibility that those platforms afford small businesses at that level pretty much deliver the same levels, if not more, than what those small businesses would expect if they went and hosted, you know, built and hosted their own websites. So that's my take. Thank you.
Okay, Dotun, from your end.
Okay, I think that I just go social media. I mean, for small businesses, just do social media and WhatsApp, Facebook stories. I mean, there's no need for a website, except where you need to have, like Idowu said, credibility. Some businesses need credibility. If not, what do you need a domain name for or anything? Just have a social media and push it. Use influencers and whatever that you need to do. Or you don't necessarily need a website if you're a small business. When you grow to the point where it's necessary, then go ahead with that. But don't start with that. It's not necessary.
Okay.
I take.
Okay, I think one or two people have answered the question that we have in the comment section already about the agriculture business, the law firm, account firm, and all that, that you will need to have a proper website after some time, eventually. So I think that question has been answered somehow. Now, I have discussed this next question with Idowu a few times, and in my mind, I think the problem has already been solved, but I think maybe like by all foods. But let me say, ask it all the same. The Agoin seller and the Agege bread seller, they hawk every morning. Now, how can we, the way we do Uber, you know, Uber doesn't have any car. Uber doesn't buy cars. Uber just registers drivers. Why can't we register the Agoin sellers, the Agege bread sellers, and I have an app on my phone, and I say Agoin, and I click the app, and the nearest Agoin seller to my house, you know, she see, just like you receive a call that you have a Uber ride. Oh, where are you? I'm at this street. Okay, come. I'll be in there in 5 minutes. Dotun, can we do that for Agege bread and Agoin? Now, I'm saying that because I read some statistics somewhere that said Agege Bread does 100 million naira daily in Lagos. I'm not talking about Nigeria. Agege Bread. I'm not talking about sliced bread. Forget about sliced bread. Those 300, forget it. Agege Bread, the woman that carries it on her head, does 100 million naira daily. So, Dotun, let me start with you.
All right. As you just said that, I was telling my wife just offline here that, if Agege Bread does 100 million, we should start bread factory sharply. Masses. There's no need for sweet sensation bread.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You see 100 million daily. I mean, that's the way. That's the way. More businesses to push into services like what OP did with O-Food, right? And register the smaller set of people. I mean, on the big, what you have normally will be the KFC, the Chicken Republic, and the well-established. And it's understandable because those who have more processed, it's always easier to do. The problem with Nigeria is that nobody wants to do the hard work, the dirty work. You're not assured of the reliability of the Agege bread seller. You're not assured of the reliability of the ewa agoyin seller. You're not assured that the quality of production, the neatness of production, you're not assured of those things. And so it becomes a little bit difficult or risky for somebody who wants to put an app there and say, you can order this. What we do physically is that when we buy ewa agoyin, because sometimes you still feel like buying from those local people because it just tastes better. I mean, it tastes better than anything you eat in any other place. But we do an assessment by ourselves. You are judging the quality, you're judging the cleanliness of the person, you're looking at the bread physically that, oh, does it meet the standard I want? And you're able to make that judgment call. When you have to put an app around that now, you have to consider all those stuff. Uber does some stuff with its drivers, so they try to maintain a certain standard to take them through training. So I think the work can be done. It's not that it's impossible, but it's a lot of work. And you have to be in it for the long haul. You know that you're not going to make money in the near future, but you know that in the long term, it will become profitable. And it will empower those people. So I think if government comes and supports those things as well, it will help the private sector to feel that it's doable. But I mean, there is a demand for ewa agoyin.
Okay, Dr. Idowu, what's your take? We have had this discussion before.
So you already know my answer, but I mean, yes, there's definitely opportunity to digitize or automate that space. Again, proof of concept has been done. The O-Food concept, proof of concept has been done. However, like Dotun said, who will do that work, that manual work of assuring reliability, quality, health, what do you call that now? Hygiene, and stuff like that. Essentially, I think what will happen is because of the need to have a basic level of hygiene, you won't capture 100% of all the people that are selling this category of services, but it's definitely possible. Like I always want to err on the side of optimism and say, yes, we will get there. It may take some time, but yes, we will get there. Thank you.
Okay, Tunde, what's your take?
Yeah, Dami,
Uber and ewa agoyin have a lot of similarities.
No, you're correct. I think all of that quality is going to come into it. Can you hear me? Quality is going to come into it. By the time quality comes into it, by the time regulation begins to drive it, a lot of these kind of businesses will begin to shift in their model of operations. That way, you can now begin to leverage on the right platforms. Like Dotun has said, a lot of government, let's look at a very good example. Look at how many years ago when pure water started in Nigeria. Remember they used to sell water in nylon and you buy in traffic.
Yeah.
But pure water came, the game changed. You now started having packaged water. Guess what happened? NAFDAC seal of approval now came in, bam. That means that this water is hygienic, it is safe for drinking. So the same way will, as this government, once there's a lot of government eyes on it, and it helps make sure that the right standard is there, the right hygiene is there, naturally, businesses will begin to see value in investing in those areas. And they will begin to, you will see a lot of more players going in there. And it's easier for that going seller to just easily be located within that area. And once an order is made, what's the person do? A logistics company comes, pick up the going, goes to deliver it, knowing fully well that at least you are eating something that is safe. So that's how I see it. So in terms of optimism, I'm very optimistic about that future for that market segment.
Yeah, Peter, your take. Let's have you.
Yeah. Damn, guys. What I'm trying to get clear here is that are we saying that how do we get the 100 million revenue of bread agege online, or how does the going seller across my street actually go online to sell? Is that the question?
Yes.
Because I'm not very clear.
In a way, yes. We are saying that because Uber can operate the same way Uber can operate, Ewa going to can operate like that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, because
and we are also saying that there is a huge gap. Let's even assume that the agege bread is not 100 million a day. Let's assume that it's 100 million a week. That is still a lot of money. And we are saying that there is still that gap, because the truth is that the population of people taking sliced bread are still very, very low compared to those that are taking agege bread, the unsliced one. So the market is huge. Is the informal sector quite all right, but the potential is very huge. So Peter, your take.
So I flow with basically what the gentlemen have said, all my guys have said basically, because I know that people have already, basically I totally have a strong agreement with what Dotun mentioned in terms of the return on investments after you've taken it up to to capture that market. Although people have already started selling all these things online, from we're going to bread agege, people on Instagram, you can find people who are actually selling this, and they advertise such that they tell you that, look, we are actually NAFDAC certified. So just to cut the whole long story short, I agree with what everyone has said, and of course that market can actually be captured, but it's who would actually go ahead to capture that market and what it actually takes. For the average woman that sells going 2 streets away from me, and she sells it with bread agege. There's someone else that sells bread agege at the side. I think from her own, someone else has to be a middleman on behalf of them, so to say. That's the way I see it. Sincerely, that's why I say that. Because she won't necessarily want to go through that that process. So if there's someone else that sees this market and decides that, let me turn this all the going sellers within this area, within Shogaolu area, within agege area, let me capture them. But also from what Dotun, from what Idowu said, what Tunde said, of course, someone has to really certify the aspect of hygiene and quality assurance and all that. So I totally agree that, yes, I agree with every other person on this bit.
The next question. I'm going to take these 2 questions together so that we can move very fast. Now, this meeting we are having is made possible via Zoom. Do you see Zoom giving rise to a lot of internet businesses? That's the first question. The second question is, video meeting apps are not new. They are not totally new. Skype was there before Zoom. Do you think that Zoom may go the way of Skype one day?
So, first of all, okay, that's directed at me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, what Zoom is actually doing, I don't, okay, you are saying that if Zoom is going to, for Zoom now, right, I don't think that, to take the first question, right, I don't think Zoom is actually going to, it's not actually for necessarily for full core businesses, so to say, left to me from my own understanding from using Zoom. It's for, of course, you have audio, you have video. It doesn't really take away the proper business processes, okay? And it's what some other companies have actually done before, but Zoom was able to meet opportunity, okay, especially during the COVID period, and that's when they now skyrocketed in April to the $15 billion mark and all that, so to say, in my own opinion. So except Zoom now evolves, if Zoom evolves in other aspects of what other social media business platforms are doing, okay, then I would say yes. I would say yes to that question. Now, for number two, in terms of Skype, Zoom and Skype are not necessarily the same alike, okay? And if what I notice about certain business owners, when they grow their business to a certain mark, they sell. Some business owners sell their companies after they've grown the business to a certain mark, or whether they've grown it or not, they actually sell. Now, what happens is that some other businesses, bigger businesses, buy off such businesses, especially if maybe they are in challenge or for whatever reason. Now, at times they buy off some companies in terms to be competitive, to buy off that competition, okay? And when they buy it off, they necessarily just put it aside and it dies a natural death. Okay, but Zoom and Skype are not necessarily the same service. It's not necessarily apple for apple comparison. Okay, so if the owner of Zoom today says he wants to sell, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing Peter can do for whatever reason. But it's not as if it's the same. Some business owners will not even sell. Okay, but Zoom and Skype are not necessarily the same. But of course, Microsoft bought off Skype, and Microsoft is actually pushing Teams. Skype for Business still exists, so to say, but now Microsoft is actually making Teams the preferred platform.
It's good maybe we are comparing Zoom and Teams.
Okay, so if you are comparing Zoom and Teams, so the question now is if it's going to take over Teams, or
if it's going to, if one is going to die a natural death.
So I know that to a large extent, Zoom is not going to die yet for now. But if Zoom actually sells off to someone else, right, and whoever Zoom sells to is actually a competition to Zoom, and that competition buys off Zoom and does not develop Zoom, most likely Zoom is going to die a natural death, just like so many others. Microsoft bought over Skype. Apple bought over Beats by Dre. So there are different companies. I know other companies that bought. There's IBM bought over. There's this other company that IBM, Lotus Notes. We barely have Lotus Notes for emails today. What is going on now is Office 365 and Google Mail. So most likely, to some extent, if Zoom has a focus to actually evolve and not sell to a competitor, most likely they may not die a natural death. That's my own opinion. That's my own view.
Okay.
So Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Someone says now, yeah. So Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Now I've looked at Zoom. I've used Zoom, and I've also used Microsoft Teams. I use Microsoft Teams basically almost every day. Now those two are basically in competition. Now Zoom is more integrated than Teams. I'm not selling here, but the truth is that there's one component of Zoom that exists that doesn't exist by default on Teams, and that's the whiteboard. So what you have to do on Teams, you basically have to actually get a third-party whiteboard and integrate with Teams, okay? But Zoom is here to stay for a while. Teams is also there in competition, so they are both competitors. If Microsoft buys up Zoom and does not develop Zoom most likely is going to have a natural death. That's my own opinion.
Okay, Tunde.
Okay.
Yeah. So for everyone, primarily, there's a lot of convergence with what Peter said and what I will say as well. You know, as technology keeps evolving and keeps improving, what happens? Costs starts coming down. You know, the leverage we have at the moment with Zoom is because we know everyone has a free edition, and it's easy for you to just be on Zoom, having that free edition for that 40, 45 minutes makes a big difference depending on the meeting that you want to use it for, or depending on what business need you're using it for. For Microsoft Teams Enterprise Edition, you know, I use that as well. It's growing, and it's going to grow stronger. Now, a time may come, Zoom may decide to sell, you know, which you call the entrepreneur's direct owner or the visionaire, decide, you know what, I don't think I want to push this any longer. Somebody, I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to see Zoom still continue to be used. Another easy to use app comes in. I'm sure some people have heard of Connectals. I don't know if you've heard of Connectals. You know, they are pushing it now. It's free.
Yeah.
You know, the same, but of course, all these tools have their own different and unique functionalities. You know, so one has it, one may not. You know, but we are going to keep seeing a lot of push in this market as is right now. Thank you.
Okay, Idowu.
All right, so I'd like to look at that question from a slightly different angle. I'd like to ask the question: How did Zoom steal market share? You know, from established players when they arrived. I remember my first experience with Zoom. I was like, what kind of sorcery, what kind of magic is this? You know, it was completely seamless. You know, from connection speed till today, we're on Zoom now. Until today, you observe that Zoom has one of the best. If you do a lot of video meetings with people outside Africa, you most likely, after trying a lot of options, you most likely gravitate towards Zoom because it somehow manages the low quality of data better, you know, experience. I don't know how it was built. I don't have access to the source code, but in terms of experience, that's my observation. So that therefore, and that pretty much is what I think must have given them the ability to become such a runaway success that they've become. They like with everything, they saw a certain complacency in the incumbents. The good old Skype team, I remember I've used many of them many times. Zoom came on the board and was more focused on experience than the contractual, you know, the details of the contract. You know, that's my perspective. That's my perception. So how did they arrive here? That's my answer to that. Will they suddenly become, or will they eventually become like those players? I think that's I don't have the gift of prophecy, so I can't predict that. If they continue to be innovative and stay ahead of the curve, I think they will have a good run into the long term. But if they become complacent, the cheese is available for somebody else to steal. Somebody else will steal from them the way they stole from someone else. So that's how I think about Zoom and how they played in this sector.
Okay, Dotun, what's your take?
I think that comparing Teams to Skype to Zoom are all in similar spaces, but just, it's good for chatting and creating groups and chatting on Skype much more than the video call. The video experience of Skype is not just good. Like Idowu mentioned, whatever Zoom did in terms of technology to manage data and to manage the video experience much better than anyone else. That's what is making them to grow the way they are growing. And Africa is just a perfect place for them to flourish. Additionally, is that nobody was innovating in that video space anymore. I mean, everybody that had been there, the Cisco WebEx and GoToMeeting, blah, 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 that had been there for a long time, and they were not just innovating. Everybody thought that, though, that was done. The technology had come to the max, but Zoom came up and tried to fill in a gap, and that made the difference. And it did at a timely, just at the appropriate time, because not long after they started getting stronger is when COVID came and everybody had to start using poor internet, because you had to do meetings from home and use your 9 mobile and MTN internet. And so they just came at the right time. Teams, especially in Nigeria, using Teams, once I want to have a meeting with maybe a CBN or something, they will gravitate towards Teams just because they are used to buying it expensive. Sometimes it's just a Nigerian thing, enterprise thing. They want to buy from Microsoft rather than buy from Zoom. But for us, what I think that Zoom offers everyone is that I don't have to do physical meetings. I can do meetings online. I mean, it pains me a little because all those executive travel things are automatically eliminated, because you can have Zoom meetings and close deals or finish off anything that you want to do without necessarily having to meet in person. And I know churches took advantage of this. Everybody's church had the Zoom online. I mean, it just changes the game. It's a big leveler. Thank you.
Okay. The next question.
All right. Sorry. Just to add one more thing.
Okay, go ahead, Tunde.
Just to add one more thing to a bit of the comparison. Now, currently, there's been a lot of, within security, in terms of the security of the apps, when you compare Zoom and Microsoft Teams, at the moment, and please guys, this is a caveat. Don't take what I'm saying as wholesale. MS Teams actually has a better security compared to Zoom. You will find out that a number of people have had issues when you're doing meetings, and for some reason you hear, oh, our Zoom account has been hacked. I don't know if Dotun, Idowu, or Peter, I don't know if you've come across this particular scenario. You're having a meeting and all of a sudden you start seeing some very funny graphic images, and this is not to say that Zoom is not a good product. Yeah, I'm just saying that from a security point of view, in terms of the resilience of that platform, that is where the key disadvantage comes from. This is not to say that what I'm saying is wholesale truth, but that has happened. So that is another reason, or that's another thing to consider, when you think about Zoom with MS Teams. Thank you.
Yeah, Tunde, 5 seconds, right? And to respond to you quickly, right? Actually, on the 3rd of April, if I'm not mistaken, this year, Zoom was accused of certain security vulnerabilities. It's online, you can go and check. Quite all right, okay? And then what Zoom has now done, they were actually accused point blank is online and all that. I think on the 3rd of April. Now, what Zoom now did was they now started putting in certain security measures. And I agree with you that, yes, there are some people that they've taken over meetings and they started posting certain nude pictures and all that, and they just take over the whole meeting. Okay, so what Zoom now did at the back end, they now started beefing up security from upgrades to, several things. And if you actually know what you are doing as the admin at the back end, it is quite simple to manage your Teams meeting, have conferences, especially if you pay, not just the free 40 minutes option subscription. Okay. Yeah. So Zoom actually started doing several things on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Anyone else? Before I have something to say.
Can I?
Yeah, Idowu, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, to your question, Tunde, I've been part of such a meeting before where the meeting was hijacked. But if you think about it but this is not to excuse the security, the earlier reported security vulnerabilities, which I think that Zoom has made some efforts, published online to address. But I think that if you think about it from a product design perspective and maybe even a market penetration strategy perspective, Zoom, if you think about the guys that developed and promoted the Zoom product, perhaps they knew that there were enterprise players in this space. The enterprise players had the enterprise customers. They most likely were not thinking about capturing the enterprise customers first. And well, ease of use is one of the top of mind concerns and priorities whenever you are thinking about a mass market B2C product design. So I am just saying that most likely, if I were in their shoes and I was trying to introduce a product into the market and I was thinking of market penetration, I would most likely be thinking about ease of use for the end user. The average end user is not as security conscious. So if it will get me out into the market, of course, I have a backlog of things to do. I have a list of things to do. Security is on that list, but ease of use and convenience are higher on that list. I will quickly deliver and get to the market and start to win some market share. I'm just thinking from a product design perspective. I'll quickly start to gain some market share and then have a plan to shore up whatever security loopholes are opened up. So that's my perspective about that.
Okay, this question was a discussion I had with Dotun yesterday. There is now a lot of cyber threats on Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, WhatsApp accounts, WhatsApp group. My website for my company, I'm an architect, has been hacked before. Somebody went there and said I was recruiting. I started asking people to come for recruitment interview and asking them to pay money. I had to, quickly go to the site, started pushing out notice that I'm not part of this, it's something fraudulent and all that. Dotun that is here has had this picture used on so many fraudulent Forex websites. In fact, somebody called me yesterday and said, this guy on your handbill, do you know him very well? I said, I know him very well. We go way back. He said, are you sure you know him? I said, I know him very well. He said his picture was on a Forex trading website that collected 10,000 naira from people and all that. And Dotun told me that every day they quench one fire. They put, as they are putting off one fire, they are putting on another one. Now, I also know that even on social media, people have had to pull down their Facebook accounts. People have had to pull down their Twitter accounts. People have had to pull down their Instagram accounts. What are these social media companies doing to enhance security? Peter, I want to start with you.
Okay, Dami, that's a good question, but it goes way back. The aspect of scamming, the aspect of security goes way back, and it's part of what we've been discussing. For the ASU seller, the small business sellers, and everything. One of the things you must consider in going online is security. Don't try and pay cheap. Don't try and buy cheap. Don't try and think of, oh, because it's free, let me go for it. Okay, so this is a basic. It has always been a problem from time memorial in terms of hacks and all that. Now, what I know is that there are certain things, basic things for a website. If you say, okay, I'm a small business owner, I have 10,000 naira, bring up a website for me, host a website for me, fine. There's a basic thing like a simple SSL certificate that you should know about. Now, if you do not know, of course, the ASU seller does not care about an SSL certificate. That certificate is actually a security certificate for your website, to secure your website, for certain forms of security that people can't just hack your website and take it over. Now, what I also advise, what our advice is basically is that, okay, if you are a small business owner, try and outsource some of this. Try and outsource this thing. Outsource this thing to someone that is very affordable. There are lots of affordable sites that come with certificates, the platforms. Okay, so basically that's what I would say. And you definitely have to be security conscious. You are meant to change your passwords often, at least once a month, depending on how the transactions you do. Your passwords shouldn't be simple passwords. So that security consciousness has to be there. I also noticed that on Facebook is one of the easiest places for people to be hacked. Now, most of these companies, what they do now is that they give you two-factor authentication. Okay, try and set that up for yourself, whereby you don't only put in your password. What you do is you actually ask for a verification SMS to your mobile number on your phone. Okay, that will say, okay, are you actually the one that wants to sign in, or was it someone else that's trying to sign in, okay, to your account? So that security consciousness must be there. It is your responsibility as a business owner to be security conscious for your business and for your customers. It's your responsibility. And there's a lot out there to take advantage of that. It's more affordable now to secure your business, to secure your platforms. Okay, so you just have to ask the right people, and they'll sort you out.
Okay, while we are going to the next person, Tunde, I want you to respond next. Still on the same question. There are some Twitter accounts that are verified accounts. Is a verified account not prone to being hacked? Tunde?
Okay. First and foremost, Dami, there is no account that cannot be hacked. I'm sure recently you heard the big boys, the likes of Elon Musk and the rest of them, their Twitter account was hacked. Yeah. So let's demystify that. As long as it's a human invention, is not really foolproof. And several things over the years have actually taught us that. But the key thing is this: the basic security elements, some of the things that Peter has mentioned, just make sure that you have it. Now, in a sense where you need to take it a notch higher, consult an expert. That is where that knowledge is readily available. Basic things like ensuring that your password is complex, just make sure you have that in place. Basic things like having multi-factor authentication. Even, I'm sure you know now that your WhatsApp has a two-factor authentication. Make sure you use it. The inventors, the people that develop, the companies that develop these apps, they put it in place for a reason. And that's also because they want to make their product a lot more secure. So just make sure those basic things, just do it. Just like you normally do. Your house has a door. You're going to lock the door. It has a window. You're going to lock your window. That's why in Nigeria, we have burglary proofs over our window. Those extra layers that can make your business a lot more secure, you need to make sure you do it. And also, as a business person, an SME, what kind of information are you also putting online? Because there's nobody that cannot fall prey. Maybe you go out there, you're in a gig, it's all champagne flowing. So all of those things make you easy targets or easy praise, for the bad guys out there to look at you and say, just like you said with Dotun, the Forex guys, putting his face on their bad side, So just make sure that as much as possible, keep yourself secure. As a business person, what you don't know, consult an expert to help you. I mean, an extra few amounts to spend on that goes a long way. Thank you. Hope that helps, Danny.
Yeah, very good, very good. Idowu?
All right, so, sorry, can you remind me what the question is again?
Yes, hacking. Facebook hacking, Twitter account hacking, website hacking, cybersecurity.
Right. So I was actually replying to a chat in the chat window, and that's exactly what I was just saying. That it's technology, you see, the underlying principle to understand and accept is that the convenience that technology and many of these technology tools give us, it's like a yin and yang relationship. There's a trade-off between convenience and security. That's just what it is, okay? So think about why whoever holds the keys to what the US government calls the football, the nuclear codes, will not keep it in a digital document anywhere. It's going to be offline, okay? Now, where am I going with this? We just need to get to the point where we understand that there is always
Hello, Idowu. We can't hear you. Okay.
Scammed and so on and so forth will never be zero. Lapse distance, which means that the person on the other side very well could be impersonating someone else. So I have a personal rule of thumb. Whatever incoming message that I receive across email, across SMS, WhatsApp, I'm thinking, as I'm reading the message, I'm thinking, what is the possibility that this is not who it is, who I think it is? Sometimes people lose their phones before the person can, people lose their phones and some other third party could be the one chatting with you and asking you to send money or do something, whatever it is. People send you, or rather you receive emails in your box. My brain, and some of this comes from experience. I also had some kind of negative experience with identity theft in the past. So the principle I want to share is generally have a suspicion. The more you use technology tools, have a heightened level of suspicion, okay, if I can use that word. I can't think of a better word. Have a heightened level of suspicion with everything that is coming in. I also like the suggestion by Tunde about how much information you put out there. Very, very important is also to help people understand that, yes, these platforms like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp give us opportunities to share a lot of details about our lives, but think about it. The recent kidnap kingpin that was arrested, I think Evans or sometime last year or recently, revealed that he does his research on Facebook. He just goes to someone's Facebook profile. Oh, so you have 6 family members. Their ages are 6, 2, 20, and so on and so forth. And he starts to just build a profile. Do you understand? So sometimes, so that's my own general principle. Always remember that with technology, with the ease of use that technology affords you, it opens you up to some risks. So just be prepared for those risks, and then from there you can start to think about: do I need some kind of do I need to buy antivirus for my system? Do I need to move from an email that does not give me anti-spam to an email that gives me anti-spam automatically? For instance, some email providers their spam detection algorithm may only give you a 5% success rate. Some other email provider may give you a close to 100% success rate. So by default, you hardly ever even receive those spam or suspicious emails. So, but the underlying principle is always remember that by posting things online, there's some risk. By exposing yourself to technology tools, there's some risk. So that's how I think about it. Thank you.
Dotun, let's have your take.
Okay. I think that above all things, security is not cheap. It's necessary. I mean, you can spend a lot of time building your business, and then someone can spoil the whole of that brand. When it comes to hijacking people's content and things like that, for instance, my wife was following a popular person online, Messi Aigbe, who had some beauty products and things that she was selling on Instagram. And somebody duplicated her Instagram page that looked like her and was telling people to transfer funds. And she did transfer funds and did not receive it. And when she did not receive it, that's when she started following up and reached the real Messi Aigbe. And then she said, look, that was not me. We eventually found out that I was a fake Messi Aigbe page selling the same things that she was selling online. So that just shows how easy it is. The same way it's easy to create an Instagram page and followership and things like that, it's also easy to duplicate. Anybody can really impersonate you. And that's why they are all pushing verified accounts now on Twitter and all these other channels. So it's important that as you engage using all this media, try to add some layer of security. Security is a moving target. I mean, it's not something that you never arrive at security. You always have to keep looking for, because the same way that you are increasing your security, that's the same way the fraudsters and people like that are innovating in hacking and copying people. Like what Dami told me yesterday when he called me saying that, oh, somebody said, oh, that they have your Facebook, my LinkedIn picture on their Forex page, and they had the address of the OPay office. So they had my picture.
Forex WhatsApp group. It was a Forex
Forex WhatsApp.
So was this
had my picture as the admin,
and your office address,
and then add the address was the address.
Yeah.
And so you can see how it's called phishing, right? You can see how they pick little bits of information to get people to trust, right? So somebody who checks online for OPay address will see, oh, the address, oh, this is the address of OPay. Check for OPay employees, then it sees my name or my picture, and they put that together and then present it to someone that OPay is doing Forex or something, and everybody trusts that. But that's not enough information to trust. And the reason why this was busted was because one other person decided that, okay, let me go to the office address and check and inquire after I've dropped my money there, let me go and check and find out whether this is really going on. And it was that person that did the extra check that then found out that, oh, this is a scam. This is not real. So that's something that's important. We need to be very, very security conscious. Think about it, that people don't really, it's easy for people to be deceived online because you're not seeing them physically. Even in physical transaction, people deceive people. How much more online where you can't see that person? So it's a big loophole. And like Idowu has said, it's a trade-off. You have to trade off that convenience for security. It's something that we have to be very wary of. The more we try to have that consciousness of security, the better it is for us. As your business begins to grow, it becomes really important. Thank you.
Okay, we want to make the session faster so that we can round up pretty soon, very, very soon. So if you have a question, just lift up your hand and I'll call you. If you have a question, any of the audience, but I want each of the panelists to give us more like a closing shot. Each person, a closing shot. Tunde, your hand is, okay. No, not Tunde. I've seen Fire Daddy. Fire Daddy, can you unmute and just quickly ask your question? Time is fast spent, so I want us to speak and ask questions so that I can quickly be treated.
Sorry, please, how do you prevent being scammed on the internet?
Okay, how do we prevent being scammed on the internet? I think we've addressed that.
Yes, sir.
We've addressed that in the area of cyber security, adding an extra layer of security, getting an SSL certificate, and being wary of any email, any message you receive on any platform at all, even if it's WhatsApp. I think that has been addressed. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Also, this video will be available on YouTube. So at the end of this session, we are going to post this video on YouTube, so you are able to listen again, view it again, share it with friends. For as long as we know, all of us on this platform now, we are not hidden again. because this video will be on the internet. So please, any question from any other person, while each of the panelists gives us a closing shot. Each of the panelists gives us a closing shot. I'll start with Tunde.
Okay. So I think we choose tonight to digitalization, in effect. So this goes out to any small business owner. If you look at the way we've sort of structured our conversation, it's very non-technical. So there's no technical jargons. But I would say, in effect, that number one, if you need expert advice, I think this platform has provided that opportunity. So if you contact Dami, Dami can contact any of the panelists just to help you with regards to whatever the business need or the business area you want to serve. So if you want to put an extra layer of security, there are people you can consult. If you want to have your business in a more digitalized format, how do you want to go about it? You already have those tools, those people. So I would say leverage on it, and that's the era in which we are. Information has gone, beyond what the mind can consume, so leverage on every opportunity to help your business grow, by using this platform. I'm sure, Dami, if you continue with this, the credibility you're getting on this kind of medium is going to be fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I saw a comment by Shola Debisi. I wanted to read it, but while I look for it, Peter, please give us closing shots.
Okay, so basically, what I would say is, don't think cheap. Yeah, for small business owners, you are starting off. Don't think cheap. Don't also have security in mind. Have the end in view at all times. You must think about security. You have to be security conscious. Don't look at, when I say cheap, I mean, the popular adage or popular saying that if you pay cheap, you pay twice. So don't think cheap in the sense that, okay, be careful of freebies. Oh, this is free and it's free. Okay, does it have the added value of security? Look at payment portals. Look at what form of security do they have? Security for you, security for your customers, especially the payment platforms and all that. Then also consider getting advice, like Tunde said, very vital point. Consider getting advice from experts. Consider outsourcing certain services at very affordable. All these things are basically affordable. We don't need to start talking about all the technicalities, but try and outsource and focus on the crux of your business. Outsource these things to of course, there are great guys here, and outsource them. Reach out and outsource these things. And please don't think about, whenever someone tells you this thing is free, always think about it twice. Thank you.
Okay, let me just read what Shola Adebisi wrote. One of his comments he wrote, he said, I agree with the panelists. Just to add, competent government authorities have put laws in place to ensure that custodians of personal identifiable information and user data exercise due care and due diligence as an ongoing exercise. Violation of this could lead to legal action and big fines. GDPR is just one of these laws. I believe what he's saying there is that in Sena climes, no company has the right to use your information anyhow. And if they do that, use your information anyhow, you can take them to court and sue them and make money from them. Okay, Dotun, I'll have you next.
Okay, just to buttress that point, that of course for data protection and all that, Nigeria has its own version, but it's really the level of enforcement the contents of the NDPR. I think they just copied and pasted and things like that. So there's a whole lot. The laws are weak. The enforcement is weak. So on the whole of that area, we need to kind of wait for the government to do something fine. And if we can't wait, then the onus is on you to make sure that you secure yourself, you secure your data as much as you can. Be careful what you share. Be careful what content you put out there about yourself. In the last 2 days, I've been removing OPay from my profiles online. If that's just be your friend on Facebook or anything, because sometimes they're just trying to use association to defraud somebody else. So you have to look at all those things. Don't just accept any invites. Don't just join any group into this online business. I think it's going to be that a lot of people are going to lose money as more people move mobile. People are going to lose money first, but then after that, there'll be a lot of learnings for people to be deceived. Thank you.
Okay, Idowu.
All right, so thank you, Damilola, for organizing this. Thank you, co-panelists, for sharing your insights and expertise, your experience, your wealth of experience. Thank you to the audience for, what's the word, tolerating us. My parting shots will be twofold. One, at the beginning of the session, we emphasized that there's ample opportunity to digitize almost any type of business. You know, as long as you can break down what you're doing and ask yourself the critical question about for the production, is it able to digitize it? For the sales and marketing, are you able to digitize it? The delivery aspect, are you able to digitize it? The payments aspect, are you able to? So I'd just like to remind us about that. Yes, there's ample opportunity there for automation, no matter the level of business that you're doing. There's something that you can do, even if it's just to share details about your product or service on a WhatsApp status or something. You know, there's always something that you can do to boost that business. And on the flip side, towards the end of this discussion, the conversation was centered more around security. So we ended by saying, for every technology interaction, technology tool, technology platform, technology ecosystem that you use, there's some risk of, malicious intent. So use them with a pinch of salt. For those basic things that are common sense and are common knowledge, change your passwords often, use two-factor authentication, always verify every incoming message to be sure that, ask questions that the person most likely will know if it's something that you have a private relationship with, and so on and so forth. So I think that's the balance. There's remarkable, massive opportunity in digitizing our everyday operations, but we also need to be careful to not expose ourselves to unnecessary cybersecurity incidents. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to all the panelists. I want us to draw it to a close here. We have done 2 hours. We were not able to exhaust all our questions, I need to tell you. So I didn't want to keep us here for too long, But I want to thank the panelists for making this happen. Dotun Adekunle, thank you for availing us of this opportunity. We don't take it for granted at all. Thank you so much. Idowu Akinde, thank you very much, my brother. I'm very grateful for this. Thank you for being a part of this. Peter Esangbedo, my friend for way back. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for all your views. Tunde Shogaolu, thank you also. I appreciate you all dearly. I want you to just give out your social media handles for people that may want to contact you privately for any of these services that we have added. The free service has a limit, but when you get to a level and you need to do some security, then you would pay some little premium. It's nothing too outrageous, but you pay some little premium. So just give us a social media and probably maybe Instagram or anywhere you are popular on, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, if it's Twitter, whatever, so that any of our listeners could just have that and contact you privately and after this meeting. Dotun, your own handle is all over the your social media handle, the one you use mostly.
At Dotun Adekunle 1 on Twitter, and then on Facebook, Dotman.Adekunle. That's fine.
Okay, Idowu, your handle, your social media handle.
All right. So if you take my first name and my last name and join it together, that's what I use on pretty much every platform.
Okay.
Idowu Akinde. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Peter, your social media handle.
Yeah, it's just basically Peter_Esangbedo, okay, on Instagram and IG page. Facebook, you find me there also.
Okay. Tunde, your social media handle?
For me, it's Sugar. Your Sugar, SHOGA. So on Instagram is 150. On Twitter is Sugar.
Okay. Thank you very much.
My face.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Of my own.
My name remains Damilola Mufikoya. So thank you to everyone that joined. I saw over 40 participants. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone that joined. So the video will be available on YouTube. Just type in the topic, the new digital economy. It will bring it out. You'll see it. You'll see my name as the person that posted it. And you can share with friends. You can listen over and over again and get more information. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. I appreciate everyone dearly.
Thank you, everyone.
It's good night from me.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Everyone, and good night.